Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago, and welcome to what should we say, a special edition in many ways of our independency. And we are not in studio, but we are on air, live on I-95.5 FM, of course, radio, live on the Independency Facebook page, that EYE on Dependency Facebook page and YouTube channel. Good morning, Natasha.
Good morning, God. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. As God said, we're not in the studio today, but we definitely wanted to make sure that we bring you the world famous content for which we are known. And thank you for joining us on I-95.5 FM and on our live streams on Facebook and YouTube.
Right, and also we have Miss Camille Tate. She's on already via video call. And
Yes.
hope, as I said this morning, we are doing an experiment here, and I hope it works. And you will let us know at the end of the broadcast or before the end of the broadcast how we do
Yep.
with this move here this morning. But it does not change the content. It does not change our advocacy, um, because my opening salvo here this morning is to ask the question: are we in Trinidad and Tobago family? And we'll speak with Ms. Tate in a while because, as you know, Ms. Tate demonstrates to us as one of the human beings that who are silently on this
Suffering.
yes, but dealing with it. And she's a true soul, and at the end of the broadcast this morning you will understand why. But I want to put the respectfully the Ministry of Justice, the judiciary, I say the Ministry of Justice, as you will, the judiciary, and
Yes.
also social development, just send out a notice to them respectfully. Why? We are not going to retry this case here this morning. What's
Also
done?
social development,
But
just not a notice to them respectfully.
I mean, they have a
Why?
radio on in the background,
We
the
are not going to
microphone.
retry this for
I'm hearing my voice repeating. If you mute your mic.
not a notice to them respectfully. I mean, they have a radio on in the background, we are not going to retry for You have feedback
Look at the
there.
noise. It's not short, man. I don't know who and what's causing that, but Camila, are you hearing us?
Yes, I am.
You have a radio on in the background. Well, mute your microphone. Let's see what happens when you right. Mute your microphone. All right, let's try this again. Right, that's much better.
Yeah, I think.
Right. Yes. So, folks, we're not going to retry this case here this morning. What's done is done. But we constantly talk about restorative justice and our society, how it's going, and we have a lot of hurt people walking around in our society. Well, this young lady here is a perfect example of that. And my theme this morning: are we family in Trinidad and Tobago ready? We have 60 years of independence. Then we have Republic Day coming up. And the question is, I'm asking, this land called Trinidad and Tobago and the inhabitants, are we family? Do we see each other as family? Or do we see each other just as strangers passing like buses? If we have friends in between, we do. If we belong to a certain sector of society, well, you're good to go. But then if you belong to another group, you you know, it's pressure from day one. I'm asking the question: are we family? Do we see each other as independency and as the people who saw me when I was recovering on my journey back? Do we see each other as family, or we are just different tribes that happen to settle in Trinidad and Tobago, and the strongest tribe will survive? Is that who we are? Every time we have to do program like this, and Miss Tate will tell you about the negative comments that she got after losing two sons. You know, how do we see each other in Trinidad and Tobago? From the CPEP worker right up to Prime Minister. My mother taught me to respect all and treat all the same way, everybody. But are we family in Trinidad and Tobago really? And that's the theme we would like to keep here this morning, so that when you hear my state story, and for those of you who don't know it, will remind you of it when we come back from this break. And let's see how we could start fixing a problem that continues to elude us. Remember the Babulal family and what happened to that child? Nobody sought help for him, especially after seeing his entire family wiped out. He ended up in prison eventually. Miss Tate has one son left. Do we feel for people like this, or is it, well, she looked for that and she did, she paying for, and you're raising bandit children, and or she deserved that, or is it that we are family, and when one feels pain, we all feel pain? It can't be Natasha and I alone. It can't be Wayne Chance and I mean deceased Wayne, or Visual Mission and Miss Chance and all the other people who advocate him. Can't be us alone. Then we are just a part of a family that we are bastards then. And well, you could cry hard how much you want, nobody's gonna listen. Is that who we are? Or are we really the family we speak about every time we talk about independence and republic, and how, who are we really? Natasha, that's where I want to go this morning.
Yeah, I just want to add to that, and I think this conversation that we're having with Camille this morning highlights to me the um, the lack of justice in the justice system. It's really a legal system. It's meant to be confrontational. It's meant to be, two sides coming together to oppose each other. But at the end of the day, in terms of this case and many others, was justice really done to both families? Both Camille's family, they lost a son. The family of the accused lost a son as well, lost 9 years of his life behind bars. And never the twain shall meet. I don't think there was any, and Camille will tell us when she speaks, whether there was any attempt to for both families to sit down and have a conversation about what happened, because the legal system does not allow for that. It's two people coming together, and punishment is administered, but the punishment oftentimes does not bring justice or comfort to the families of the victim, neither the offender. The offender is sent to prison. That's seen as the end of it. And that, ironically, is where some elements of restorative justice come in after the fact, when there could have been many opportunities for this family, for this community, to to rationalize what happened, to make amends, to apologize. That didn't
So
happen because the legal system
yes,
stepped in because somebody died. And
so
unfortunately, the legal system, such as it is, again, is not one that is in search of justice. Because I would argue that 99% of people who have to go through this system do not feel that their the hurt and the trauma that they have endured as a result of someone else's actions have resulted in any satisfaction whatsoever.
so we are asking the question this morning as we deal with this topic. What would you do for your family? What would you do if this was your family? And I ask the question again: is Trinidad and Tobago an extended family, one big happy family, or are we just bastard children trying to survive, where there are those who surviving and being able to get the justice that they deserve? And I want to say again respectfully to the Chief Justice of Trinidad and Tobago, Ministry of Social Development, we are not trying to retry the case one and disrespect or embarrass anybody.
No.
And when you all mount platforms and you talk about advocacy, well, what we're doing here is advocacy. And if it is people don't understand what advocacy means, and sometimes it comes across as them again, and them only talking, and nobody tell you go and use drugs. Let me tell you what advocacy means. Advocacy means getting support from another person to help someone or help you express your views and wishes and help you to stand up for your rights. Someone who helps you in this way is called an advocate. So we are advocates then. We have been doing that for quite a while, and this is what we're doing for Miss Tate here this morning. Now, the definition of advocacy is the act of speaking on behalf or in support of another person, place, or thing. And an example of advocacy is non-profit organizations such as ours, Vision and Mission, that work to help women from who suffer abuse or people who are neglected by the system. Then we work in tandem. We have this helps support the police service as well, because you hear newly promoted head of division in the Northern Division, what his plans are. So if we could save the last son of Miss Tate from ending up, being pursued by the Northern Division or Eastern Division or whichever, then let's see how we could do that by helping this mother hold on a little while longer and believe in Trinidad and Tobago that we are a family. Let's go to a quick break. Like I said, we broadcasting from a different location. You'll tell us how the experiment goes, but we have Miss Tate waiting to speak with us. When we return from the break, I'll give you a brief synopsis of what you might have missed about the final verdict of this case. And then we speak with Miss Tate. And then following which we'll hook up Mr. Gordon Husband, who I respect very much as a person who have been the champion since he was an active prison officer of restorative justice. We will hook up with him and he will explain certain things that we missed with this young lady and what we could do to correct it, starting with her going forward. Miss Tate, we'll hang in right there. We'll be back, Natasha. Let's go to a break, folks,
Let's go.
and we'll be back. Stay right there.
Don't become a headline. Doing construction, picking fruit, or trimming trees? Keep bamboo rods, ladders, scaffolding, roof beams, oversized material of any type, and body parts at least 15 feet from electricity poles and lines. Before doing any type of work close to overhead lines or to the point of connection to your home, and before digging where there are underground lines, contact T&Tech for a temporary disconnection so you can work safely. T&Tech, the power to make it work.
Finally, Welcome Relief comes in the form of a scientific-based program that shows us how to manage through the tough, current challenges. Called Habitalism. It features best-selling author on positivity and happiness, Dr. Tal Ben-Shahar, integrated with the award-winning Intangence methodology of Ross. Visit habitalism.me to register now for this free life-transforming program endorsed by the United Nations established University for Peace. Gifted by Guardian Group. Live easy.
Cappy, talk to you now, boy. Got a small work for you to do. You make a quick 10 G's. What you gonna do for me?
10 G's? Where's that how I do this, buddy?
What you doing? Taking your boat, run up the islands, pick up some people and then bring them back here for me. That's all you have to do.
That's sounding like human trafficking, man. That's a serious crime. I can't make that.
Trafficking in human beings is a serious violation of a person's human rights. It violates a person's right to freedom of movement, freedom of choice, freedom of speech, and freedom of identity. It is a heinous crime which affects local, regional, and international peace and security. A victim of human trafficking is subjected to many types of abuse. The crime destroys a person's dignity and self-worth. Victims often feel hopeless, are suicidal, and are stigmatized in their communities. Child victims are deprived of their rights to education, play, and social interactions. They're essentially robbed of their childhood, and that can never be regained once those years have passed. If we do little or nothing to fight against human trafficking in our country, we can face economic sanctions from international agencies and partners. Our country will be losing money. Doing little or nothing to fight against human trafficking will tarnish our country's international image and, most of all, the value we place on human life. Human trafficking is no respecter of persons. Anyone can be a victim. So let us all strive to safeguard human life and dignity in Trinidad and Tobago.
We are the Counter Trafficking Unit of the Ministry of National Security, Trinidad and Tobago, safeguarding human life.
On Dependency with Garth and Natasha.
Reality radio, at its best, where every life is a biography.
Sundays at 10 a.m. and exclusively on 95.5 FM.
And streamed live on the On Dependency Facebook page and YouTube channel.
That?
Thank you very much, Miss. Thank you very
Yes,
much for staying with us.
Yes.
And say good morning to Gary. I think she'll be in studio now, and to Shortman, and to so Camille Tate, welcome. Thank you for agreeing to sit with us here this morning again. You're no stranger to this program. And let me just share with the listener quickly who didn't remember. And this text reads there, the system failed me. This is a Susan Mohammed's story from the Express. My child is dead. Where is the justice? This was the reaction of Camille Tate, mother of stabbing victim Renaldo Dixon, over the acquittal of Jonathan Bruce for the murder of her 9-year son 9 years ago on May 27, 2030. Tate said she screamed in disbelief and emotional anguish upon reading of the not guilty verdict by the High Court judge on Monday in an interview yesterday with reporters at her neighbor's home. Now, Tate said the name of her son, whom she described as loving and giving, was tarnished by the judgment, which stated that Bruce was bullied and provoked by Dixon. Tate had listened on her phone to the reading of the verdict on Monday through a virtual link sent to her by the state prosecution while she was at Eric Williams Medical Sciences Complex in Mount Hope at a clinic appointment. Justice Geoffrey Henderson said he found Bruce, then 15 years old, was acting in self-defense after the prosecution failed to provide otherwise. The fatal stabbing occurred at the Waterloo Secondary School, where both Bruce and Dixon, 14 years old at the time, were pupils and engaged in a fight over a schoolgirl. When Bruce was acquitted, Tate said she ran out of the hospital room and into the car park, where she screamed and wept. Double dose of pain. As Tate spoke to reporters, her eyes welled up in tears as she said it was a double dose of emotional pain as the verdict came on the same day, marking the anniversary of the killing of another son, Ricardo, who was gunned down 3 years ago at Carlson Field. I'll stop there. So, folks, that's what you missed. That's what we're discussing this morning. What did we miss with this verdict? Why did this have to happen? Why did it go like this? Ms. Tate, the floor is yours. How have things been since we last spoke with you and this verdict?
How are you all doing? First to begin.
Good. After God.
Good to hear. Well, I'm here after God as well. It has been tough, but we're hanging in there.
Camille, have you had a chance really to process this verdict based on everything that you have experienced, you and your family have experienced in the 9 years since your son passed?
It's still processing, and we're trying to deal with the situation as best as possible, and that's the most we can do for now.
No, when
and
you
no one has reached out. Sorry, Garth, and no one has reached out to you from the court,
No,
the police, no social service has reached out to you since this verdict was communicated to you?
No, 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 Natasha, no. Nobody
All right, so take us
hasn't,
step by
sorry.
step. So take us step by step, at least from that day you appeared in court for this final verdict, and why didn't you hear it? Did you get a chance to make a victim impact statement? But take us through from that day where you were at Mount Hope Hospital, and first of all, why did it have to be during an appointment at the hospital that you had to, attend a virtual court? All of that. So take us from there.
Well, when the lawyer called and she had messaged and said that the case would be on that day that I have to go clinic. So I told her, but there's nothing I can do about it. So I had put in a Bly on my phone to hear the case and stuff like that while I was there. So while I was there and waiting, I was hearing what was going on. I was hearing the closing remarks of the state. What just now, I forgive me. Okay, let's
Take
go.
your time.
I do have
That's okay.
while I was there waiting on to see the doctor, I was listening to the case. So the state prosecutor had to give her how do you call it, her ruling or stuff like that, summary to what was going on and stuff like that. And then after it wasn't long, about probably 10 to 15 minutes, she probably take to say what she had to say. And then after the judge came in, he said what he had to say. And then while sitting, the judge ended up saying, well, after hearing so by so, the now it wasn't, to me, seeing the child that killed my son, it wasn't easy. It was a lot of mixed emotions and stuff like that, right? And then to hear that the judge say, he lost 9 years of his life in prison for no reason, or the cause may be because he was bullied, and because of that, he take matters into his own hands and kill my son, right? So with that now, when he said that he's free to go, that is when I switched off, come off of the thing and went out in the car park and was crying. Well, people go think you're going mad because they don't know what's going on with you, right? So they will think you're going mad because people was watching me like that. And then after, when I catch myself, I called the state attorney and I was like, what just happened there? And she was saying because lack of evidence, Jonathan got away free. And I was like, wow, but thanks. And I just hung up the phone. And I just walked out a Mount Hope. While I was in the taxi, I was crying and stuff like that. Came down to Chagonas. Didn't even know what to do. Come home, sat by my neighbor where I am at this moment to try and clear my head, to try and process what happened, because I still couldn't process it. Despite what you took alive, but yet everything was switched around and was blamed on my son who died, which means dead man tell no tale. So, we don't know the side of the story. We don't know, but it's alleged that my son killed him because he killed my son because my son was bullying him. And I had to accept that. There's nothing I could do about it. When I find out if it is, I could have bring back, like, for retrial. They say no, because the judge had said that there will be no retrial. This is his final verdict and stuff like that. So that was it.
Now let me ask
So
you
we
something,
just have to.
were you ever called into school at any time during your son's tenure to report him, or for any infraction, any complaints of bullying? Were you brought into the school at any point in time for that? You had any report on him as a bully?
No, no, Mr. Garrett, I haven't. Because if I had known Ronaldo was bullying a child, I would have find my tail there, deal with the situation, and let me move forward from it. You understand? It's alleged that he bullied him running into his mother car, bullied him in school. The mother make numerous reports in the station. Nobody in the police station called me. Nobody in the school called me about bullying. So how is it possible a child bullying somebody and nobody then take action on it? How is it possible?
And I mean,
No, it's not the purpose. Mm-hmm.
that's kind of strange because if a report is made at the police station on someone, then I mean, this has so many layers. Natasha, understand what I'm saying? Folks, if you're just joining us, you're
Yes.
listening to Dependency, and we are broadcasting from a different location this morning. But we we bringing this story to you again. If you're just joining us, I started off by asking the question: are we family in Trinidad and Tobago? Because if we are family, then we will feel for each other. Are we really family? And Ms. Tate just explained again that the school, the parents said they made report. Have you ever seen a police report against your son?
No, I
Did you ever?
no I have not. No, I have not.
Good. So, Natasha, anything you want to add to that before I move on?
Well, again, I'm just confused as to um, when, as I said earlier, someone has lost their life and now um, everything changes. There's no, as I said, no attempt to mediate, to have a conversation, because clearly, if these two boys were having issues before, then there would have been an opportunity to bring in both parents, to have the teachers there
Ex-
to discuss what was going on before it got to the stage where someone pulled out a knife and injured somebody else and killed somebody else. Why wasn't there that approach? Why wasn't that approach used, that restorative justice approach, to get both parties to come and sit down and face each other and atone for whatever wrongs or harms you think have been done? And that
Not,
didn't happen.
nothing.
So that
No,
didn't
I
happen. And
don't
I
know
think
if
the blame kind of falls squarely on not only the police, if they were involved at all, but the school officials as well. That's their responsibility to meet these disagreements in a certain way and to handle them in a certain way.
Because look
if you
at it.
just
When I used to say and you talk to them about Ronaldo, they say he was a loving child, he was outgoing. One teacher said that it had a time she was down and Ronaldo went and bought a caramel and gave her to cheer her up. So why didn't they tell me that Ronaldo was bullying somebody? Let us deal with it. Let us get it out and deal with it before it reached to this fact. At the end of the day, I lost a son. He can't come back. There's no justice for him, right? The boy who do it, he's out there. The judge said he lost 9 years of his life. So what happened to my son? What happened to
But
him? He dead and gone.
Camille, how would you have felt if he had in fact received a sentence of incarceration? Would you have felt any different?
To be honest, no matter what you do to him, you can't bring back Ronaldo. You understand? But at the end of the day, you have to pay for what you do. You have to, but it wasn't that case. And then is the way how it happened to, where you lose, this is what's sticking in my head. You lost 9 years of your life. How much years my son lost? He dead 9 years now. 9 years. I cannot see him. I cannot give him his favorite food, see cook his favorite food for him. I cannot do nothing for him. I cannot see him grow up big to be a man. I cannot. So what are you trying? What it is you really saying there then? It's okay for when somebody bully you, kill them and you get away scot free? So what about all the people who lock up inside you innocently? Well, then you're supposed to let them go too. You understand? Look at all these school fights and things. What going on? Parents jumping in and beating school children. Are you all going to charge them for that? What is putting in place for that? And right now it had real school fights. For what reason? I don't know. But I
Now,
just pray every day that it happen to we again, you know.
the state, okay, so that system failed you. That school system failed you. Nobody contacted you. Nobody tried to make amends with you and the parents or your son and the perpetrator alleged. And this was over a girl. All right. So after the verdict was read, now somebody who's listening, maybe Natasha, I don't know if you're following the Facebook page or what page, if you're following any page, but you could
Yeah.
probably tell us if they're allowed what they call victim impact statements in Trinidad and the courts of Trinidad and Tobago. And or we have two videos to show you from a court case in the US. Unfortunately, we have to keep referencing outside of Trinidad and Tobago because we have nothing here to work with, unfortunately. So we'll show you a mother, what she had to say to her son, to a young man who was about to go to prison for the rest of his life for killing her son. Did you get a chance to address the court mistake? Did you get a chance to address the young man, or does that happen here, or did you get a chance to do that to see how you felt and
No,
what you
no,
like to say?
I didn't. I didn't. I didn't even get to hear what the prosecutor had to say. So I really didn't know what was really going on in the matter. The only thing I heard was the closing statement from the state prosecutor. That was the only thing. Even though she had sent me a link to listen to the prosecutor, I did not get it on time. So I was not called to say anything. I didn't even hear from the beginning of the case what was going on. I don't know how long the case take to go on. I don't know, Mr. Garth.
Well, that sounds to me like well, your son's case was being led by the state as the prosecution, right? And in this case, it ended up as, I mean, I'm no lawyer, so forgive me, but in cases of self defense, um, again, no consideration is given to the victim because it's
And
not
not only
the
that,
state
Natasha,
against this
let me
young
interrupt
man.
you. Let me interrupt you a
The
minute.
state
Sorry,
has.
I don't normally do
Mhm.
this, but were you given any document, any statement to say, well, this is why we made this decision, and you get a chance to read it and say, well, okay, yes. And if you're a mother like my mother, if I am wrong, my mother will be quick to say, hey, look, my son was wrong. It cost him his life, but at least I understand why they made this decision. Did you have anything
Nothing,
to show you?
nothing, nothing whatsoever. Nothing. Because
Nothing,
even when
nothing.
they taken his fall, he didn't even acknowledge us. He didn't acknowledge, that the child who died, to the parent or whatever. He didn't even do nothing like that. His main concern was on Jonathan. You understand? So we didn't get no letter from them. I wasn't in the court to hear anything. Didn't get no letter from the station when this thing took place. Didn't get no letter from the school. I have no letters. If I had, I would have shown you it or sent it to you. I have nothing. So you see, when you talk, people like to bully you, cyber bully you, because they feel, as they say, I grew up two murderers, right?
Mm.
Which I didn't. I am a single mom. I teach my children right from wrong. If there's a problem, come to me. If the school cannot handle it, I will go in with you and deal with it. If you are wrong, you are wrong. If you are right, you are right. This is how I am. I try to be fair. If you bring home something that is not yours, you carry it straight back because it's not yours. And this is what I teach them. If they come home and say, Mommy, well, the teacher only picking on me. Okay, so what you doing for the teacher to pick on you? This is who I am. So I don't understand. I really need to get somebody to enlighten me into what's going on. You understand?
I don't think the system is designed for you to understand, ma'am, Camille.
So true. So
It's not. It's
so
not
true.
because all of the conversations that would have been that would have taken place before the court, it's not for ordinary people to understand. It's legalese.
True.
So that means that even the eventual verdict, and I'm sure the words of the judge are gonna stay with you for the rest of your life. Even the verdict doesn't make sense. Even if it doesn't make sense to you as the mother of the victim, then what's the point?
Like I said,
And
Natasha, if you're a fair mother and your son, like your son lost his life because of something that he instigated, or for
Hmm.
you, from an incident that he instigated, and I see this in writing. Well, look, the investigation was properly well done, and this is what happened. We have several eyewitnesses accounts, and you at least you could have at least five eyewitnesses statements on paper for you to read what they saw, what cameras picked up. And if you get that and you are a fair mother, you should be able to say, okay, I have to accept my loss. My son was a bully, and now he paid the price
so
for
be
it.
it.
You got nothing like
And so
that.
be it. Nothing like that because up to this day, they could never find the knife that killed Ronaldo. They say
Mhm.
Ronaldo had a knife in his pocket. Now, if Jonathan was stabbing him, why Ronaldo didn't take out that knife from his pocket and try to defend himself? Why he alone was stabbed? So it's a lot of questions and unanswered,
Right.
and there are a lot of unanswered questions. You understand?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. If you're just joining us, you're listening to Our Dependency, and we are speaking with Miss Camille Tate. She's speaking to us from her neighbor's living room, and we thank her neighbor for allowing her this opportunity, because you all don't want to see where Miss Tate live and how she's holding it together despite the challenges that she's been facing and her children, and she's still trying to 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 be a good mother. She has one more son. So this program basically now this morning is to see how she can prevent her other son from going down that road. She has one more child. Before we take a break, you all remember the
it's
movie?
children are direct. 3 children, but just one boy remaining. 2 girls, one
Just
boy.
one. Yeah.
Two
And I was
girls,
just
one
going to
boy.
draw reference to, remember that movie, folks, we saw Saving Private Ryan? That movie was based on the story of three brothers who joined the military and two died during the conflict. And they sent out an entire section to look for the brother, the last surviving son of the Ryan family, because of that family, because they must pull one to safety so the family bloodline can continue. If all the men die out in a family, then that's it. There's no continuance. So how do we help Miss Tate this morning save this last son of hers? And how can we intervene as a country? As I said, are we family? Because we're going to hear when we come back what was the interaction between her and the young man's mother. I tried to contact the mom. I did contact the mom, and I asked her, maybe now let's put restoration justice to work here. And your son has some tools that can help us in society understand bullying and the consequences thereof. And once he's genuine, the
Also,
public will know.
he could
And
take
then
accountability for his actions
not only that,
directly to the
and two
victim.
mothers could come together. And if you look at Camille Tate's eyes right now, folks, you look at her face. This is somebody who is actually painting on a smile to survive day to day. But I could understand the pain. I could understand her pain. Can you? Shaban, let's go to a break. And when we come back, we'll speak about that part of the journey now from his state and the young man and his family. Is there any closure to be had? Or was any attempt made for closure?
Or can we
You're listening?
appeal to that family to reach out to Camille? Can we appeal to
Yes.
their hearts so that they can also heal? Because we understand they have experienced trauma as well. Their son was in jail for 9 years.
Yeah.
Nobody wants that for their child. But can we appeal to them to see whether they can find it in their hearts to make amends and to restore their own family and Miss Tate's family as a result of this horrific, unnecessary incident.
And all before mistake ends up on the headline as a headline on the Express again with her family. You listen to Dependency. After this break, we'll be back with more. Again, I ask the question: Are we family? Are we family in Trinidad and Tobago, or we are just a bunch of tribes existing on this plane? We'll be back.
The sex trafficking thing is a serious thing, you know, boy.
Sex trafficking?
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was only human trafficking it have.
But what do you mean?
No serious thing, boy. Where you get that from? I don't know about human trafficking, not about sex trafficking.
So how can you spot and identify perpetrators and children who are victims of trafficking? Many victims who are children do not look like under 18 years old. Child victims often move escorted around alone or in small groups. They also live in shared and even packed rooms and have very little clothing and belongings. Child victims are often seen with adults who are not their parents, their relatives, or their caregivers. Migrant children are often unaccompanied and separated from their parents. Child victims are often engaged in work that is not suitable for children. They are often deprived of their freedom to go to school, to play, and to enjoy being a child. Perpetrators have unexplained sources of income and possessions. They are businessmen and businesswomen running legitimate and illegitimate businesses. Perpetrators may appear to be the victim's friend, boyfriend, close relative, or employer.
We are the Counter Trafficking Unit of the Ministry of National Security, Trinidad and Tobago, safeguarding human life.
Don't become a headline. Doing construction, picking fruit or trimming trees? Keep bamboo rods, ladders, scaffolding, roof beams, oversized material of any type, and body parts at least 15 feet from electricity poles and lines. Before doing any type of work close to overhead lines or to the point of connection to your home, and before digging where there are underground lines, contact T&Tech for a temporary disconnection so you can work safely. T&Tech, the power to make it work.
Finally, Welcome Relief comes in the form of a scientific-based program that shows us how to manage through the tough, current challenges. Called Habitalism. It features best-selling author on positivity and happiness, Dr. Tal Ben-Shahar, integrated with the award-winning Intangence methodology of Ross. Visit habitalism.me to register now for this free life-transforming program endorsed by the United Nations established University for Peace. Gifted by Guardian Group. Live easy.
On Dependency with Garth and Natasha.
Reality radio, at its best, where every life is a biography.
Sundays at 10 a.m. and exclusively on 95.5 FM.
And streamed live on the On Dependency Facebook page and YouTube channel.
Thank you for staying with us. This is on Dependency. We're not in studio this morning, but we are broadcasting live to you on I-95.5 FM and via our Facebook and YouTube streams. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget to like and subscribe on both platforms so that you'll be informed and notified whenever we go live on a Sunday morning.
Yes, folks, thank you very much for joining us. We are so far doing well with this experiment, and as I said, you on Facebook can tell us how we're doing. And don't forget to drop a word of love for Miss Tate as we speak with her here this morning. Please. All right?
Yes.
This this is a very serious topic in Trinidad and Tobago. And remember, we hear all the fancy stuff from people on platforms, about safe homes, safer communities, safer country, safer world. These things sound really well when we say it. But how much do we really mean it? Are we family in Trinidad and Tobago? I ask the question once again. Or your pain is not mine, and I really don't care. Now, we're speaking in the state because, as you know, who just joined us, the young man who was accused of taking our son's life, he was freed eventually after 9 years. And the state said that happened without no explanation. Up to this day, she has not had any tangible, anything in black and white that speaks to, well, I can rest comfortably knowing that my son was at fault. Nothing of the sort. Not because she's not your daughter or our friend, or which means we cannot feel for her. Now, I don't know about you out there, but if my mother was in the other person's position, and I was freed of murdering someone's child, or freed of taking someone's child's life, I don't want to use sound harsh this morning. My mother would take me across to Camille and make me apologize to her personally. My mother would ensure that she contacted Camille and have a sit down.
Let's not forget, this is a young man. This is a child still. He's not a man.
A child.
He was a child when this happened.
Camille, did anything like that happen at all? Did anybody from the family side now, let's say, reach out to you?
No, Mr. Garth, nobody. The day when I did the interview with CNC3, Guardian, and Express, 3 of them came the same time. The next day when he was released to do an interview with me. Later on in the night, I saw the interview. The only thing I got was the boy father turned around and said to the dead boy family, I wish you all the best. That's all we got. On air. Right after my interview, like they put it on together in the same tape and they air it. So that is what we got. To the dead boy family, I wish you all the best. Now, come on. I ain't all up there, but if it was me, I would have taken Ronaldo the same time it happened and find these people and them. And even though you don't want to see me, you want to cuss me, you want to run me, whatever, I would have still go. Since Ronaldo dead, nobody has not come, right? It's alleged that she did an interview back then stating that I made threats to her and her family, right? I know nothing about this. I have not threatened no one. I have not been to nobody's house. I have been to my house, right?
Have you ever seen
when Ronaldo? What's that?
Have you ever had a conversation with her? Or by
Never.
what means those alleged threats would have come to her? But on Facebook, on text message, what?
No,
as far as you can...
no, Mr. Garth. The only time I saw this woman was twice in Cuba courthouse when the case was going on. At that point in time, she didn't know who I was, and I know who she was, but I never approached her. Maybe I was wrong, but I didn't. Right? I just ran out the court, I sat to cry, and I never went back after that. When I called, they said the case went to high court, so we just have to wait. So when it's called, and they will call me. And that was it.
That was it.
That was it.
And how do you feel about that?
Well, as I said, have mothers and it have mothers, right?
Yeah.
I am a mother that will try to do the right thing. And that's it. I don't even know how to explain myself, but that's it.
And there was nobody from any organization, any ministry, anything contacted you to offer, if it's advice, support, anything as a mother losing another son. Nothing of this sort happened.
Two people, well, is when Ronaldo died. We're talking after the case or before the case?
After the case.
No, sir. Nobody has not reached out to me. Nobody has not come to my house. The only people I saw was the people from the media. That's the only people I have seen. Because, you know, everybody have to get a story.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the only people I have seen. It's June to July, August, September. We're in September now, so that's 3 months since he's out, and no, nobody has not come to us.
If you had the opportunity, Camille, to speak with either Jonathan or his mother, what would you say?
Now, if it is Jonathan, I will ask the question why. Why he didn't deal with it a different way? Why he didn't go to somebody? Why he didn't reach out to, you know, that is my question. Why? So the mother, if it is the mother now, I cannot, at the end of the day, they say we're not responsible for which children action, but at the end of the day, we are responsible for which children actions because it starts at home, right? Maybe that's why all these fights and things is going on. So we as a parent have to be, how to put it, to be more out there, be aware of what's going on. You understand? Because I try to be a part of my children's life. You understand? So to share, I will say, you know, what caused that to happen? How, you know, how didn't he talk to you? Didn't he tell you anything that he was going to do this? I mean, to say we as mothers might lie because it is same as always lie, right? So you know how it goes. But that's it. So my question is always why? Why did you do what you do? Because you have other ways you could deal with situations. You didn't have to kill him. You didn't have to kill him. No. As I said in my last interview, you have people say it's a generation curse. It's because I never used to go to church where the Lord take them. One set of stupidness. Yeah. But I reach a point now I don't have time with people. Because people could say what they want. Right? When I did the interview, I was cyberbullied on Facebook. On the tree with Guardian, with CNC3 and Express. When you go on and read these things and you read, some people didn't have a heart. Some people call me a murderer. As a bully mother. How I make a that if I pretending that I sick and making more chair and they even pick on my 3-year-old. Were you picking on my 3-year-old for? My 3-year-old have nothing to do with this. Or that I need to go to the family. Why I have to go to the family? Why? Tell me.
No,
We are
people
both
actually said that
mothers.
you have to go. People actually said to you
Yeah.
that you have to go to the family.
No, said it as comments under the
Yeah, I know.
story that I
Yeah.
right and saying that I have to go reach out to the family. Why I have to reach out to the family? I didn't kill you, my son didn't kill your son. Maybe I am wrong. Maybe I should reach out to them, but then I don't want nobody to say I come in to kill them or anything like that. Because that was said in this story before.
Mistake that not supposed to happen. First of all, if there anything, there should have been, that mediation that would bring both families together. That's you taking, because anytime you decide on your own to contact or show up at these people's place, they would say the first thing they would be afraid. And especially when they're not prepared for you coming to make amends. They wouldn't know you coming to make amends. And this is why we have, this is why we talk about these type of things in this country. And I don't understand why it turned out like this, especially when there are two young children involved and two, folks.
Even
This one
even
really
the
breaks
even
our
the other his classmates, his fellow classmates, what must they be thinking now about how they interact with each other? No, go ahead.
They when they heard the story, they called me. They say, "Moms, it didn't happen, so it happened the other way around. Why it is the change of the story for?" So I say, well, it's because of lack of evidence and stuff like this. That is why it turned out like this. So it's still trying to process. And with some of the comments, that was left on Facebook. Some of the students who were Ronaldo friends, even who wasn't a Ronaldo friend, said that's not the way how it happened. It happened the other way around. And they just twist around everything and say what they want to say, because at the end of the day, money talks, bullshit walks. Excuse my language. Right? But up till yesterday, one of his classmates, one of his close classmates, had come and she say, "Let's call me Miss Mash. Try and don't take it on there, because we know that is not the way it happened, and it have a God above. And even if we don't get with justice here, we could get it up there." That is what she assured me. And I always had that on my mind. But as we's only human, right? We just tend to forget certain things. We just, so when she gave me that encouragement, it kind of bring me up. And then when I had to come back this morning to talk about this again, it dropped me back low. I'm gonna put it that way. You understand?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, my family have nothing to do with his family to tend to say, to go to do any insults, to get back at nobody. I have not encouraged anybody in that. My family and I will not be doing that, because the first thing they go say, we threaten them with this and with that and whatever. I'm not on that. I'm not on that. I just want peace, and it's something that I'm not getting. You understand? But at the end of the day, I had to make peace.
You
Right?
want closure,
But I think,
you want closure. You have,
of course,
yeah,
of
you have
course. But
got
I
a
think,
closure.
God, before you go, just to mention that the ripple effect of this one incident throughout that school, because now all of the young people who knew both parties and who still go to that school, they don't have any trust or faith in the authorities in the school, the police, neither the legal system. They have no faith in it.
Yeah, yeah.
When another incident, similar incident occurs, what is going to be their response? And this is the
Because
long lasting, as I say, ripple effect of this travesty and lack of justice.
If you're just joining us, you're
so the
listening to Dependency, and we are speaking with Ms. Camille Tate. And before we bring in Mr. Husbands, folks, Camille, just stick up in. Um, I want to play two short videos for you of two court cases, and what mothers have to go through. And I want you to get your young man, if you have a young man at home, especially, or young lady, if you could just get them to pay attention for 2 minutes, just 5 minutes of their time. Because you see, we tend to take things for granted because it didn't happen to me. My child going to school, my child well behaved, and children don't understand the long-term effects. Like the last bullying I saw, when that child was pulled to the ground and she hit her head. Suppose that child dies. That's the end of your life, young man or young woman. But we tend to continue to let brawn get in the way of intellect and not understand, after you pelt this blow or fire this chop or squeeze this trigger, it is going to change your life and your family's life forever and ever. Amen. Because regardless of what, if somebody gets off of a court case because of lack of evidence or whatever, in some people's mind, you're still a killer. In some people's mind, you still took a life. And if you didn't try to make amends on your own, to start asking God to cleanse you from that, because whether you like it or not, the money don't matter. It's blood. You shed someone's blood. You took someone's life. You destroy someone's soul and their family. So it's not. So you have tears. You see the tears from the state here this morning, and I hope that young man listening. My mother always had a saying: tears don't fall on the ground. And you make somebody cry, and you know in your heart that it wasn't warranted what you did, and you decide not to make amends. Those tears are not going to drop on the ground and dry up, young man. I hope you're listening this morning. I hope you and your mom listening this morning. And sooner or later, it will come full circle. So please, so Showman, let's go to video A first, then B. We'll take a break and let ask Gary to call Gordon husband. So please, I want him to get in here early so that we get our institutions to understand what we're missing. We get our institutions to join with us this morning and see how best we could help Miss Tate, because Miss Tate have gone through a series of illness since that verdict. I mean, her body is eating out itself. Let's just say. Let's go to this first, young man. I hope you all paying attention. Chopman, go to the A first one, please.
A 16-year-old apologizes to a teen murder victim's family before learning his fate.
At 5, we told you about 18-year-old Mitchell Savickas' sentence of life in prison for the murder of Isaiah Blue.
Daniel Benavides was also sentenced today for the crime, and 24-hour News 8's Lindsay McCombel is in studio tonight with his apology to Blue's family.
Sue and Brian, Daniel is just 16 years old, and he didn't actually pull the trigger in the murder. He pled guilty to second-degree murder and learned today he'll spend 20 to 40 years in prison. Blue's mother had a very emotional message for him before he addressed the court.
You must change. Otherwise, you will end up dead.
16-year-old Daniel Benavides will spend his 20s and early 30s in a prison cell, a fate even Isaiah Blue's mom is emotional thinking about.
Daniel, as a mother, I cannot help but to feel sorry for you. You are too young to be here. You have not only stolen from me, you stolen from those that love you too. You stole from yourself.
Benavides didn't pull the trigger, but he did have a gun and was with Mitchell Savickas the night he murdered Blue. His attorney reminded the judge of that, which Seaton echoed.
Don't blindly follow selfish people. Following your brother is why you are here now. He did not think about my son or you. As much as I want to hate you, I can't. You are just a kid. You think you know how it works, but you don't know anything.
The judge sentenced Benavides to 20 to 30 years behind bars for his second-degree murder plea, plus another 2 for the felony firearm charge. He had something to say to Blue's family.
I want to apologize to Isaiah Blue's mother, his friends, and the rest of his family. I'm not a good speaker and all, but these words coming from my heart. I'm not expecting forgiveness. I don't want forgiveness. I just hope and pray I get understanding. And my intentions weren't for Isaiah Blue to pass away that night.
Now, Blue's family declined talking to us after that sentencing today. I also spoke with friends who were in the courtroom. They also didn't want to go on camera, but one girl said that despite the sentences, she doesn't feel like they received justice. Live in the studio, Lindsay McCombel, 24-hour News 8.
I think that last sentence is very powerful. Even though this young man was sentenced to 20 odd years behind bars, the family still does not feel like they received justice.
No, Miss Tate, you didn't get a chance to do what that lady did, right? Let's for those who just joining us, you didn't get a chance to do that, right? Address.
I didn't.
Okay. Shopman, go to B now. Let's go to the other video. Those of you listening.
Today, a man guilty of a murder of a 50-year-old mother in 2017 and the 2018 homicide of a 17-year-old boy was told by a judge that he'll never leave prison alive. But before he was taken away, he had to hear the heartbreaking statement of the mother of the teen that he killed. 24-hour News 8's Barton Dieters was in court. He has this story tonight. Barton.
O'Brien, today, Vicente Rodriguez Ortiz remained apparently unmoved by the statements of the family of the woman for whose homicide he entered a plea. But that all changed when he faced the mother of the teen he was convicted of killing. Rodriguez Ortiz was already charged with domestic violence against 50-year-old Lori Lundeberg in March of 2017 before he shot her in the head, according to police. But he would not be arrested for that crime until January 2018, when he was arrested for the shooting death of 17-year-old Andre Hawkins. Police said he made statements while questioned about the Hawkins slaying that provided evidence in the murder of Lundeberg. Today, before the judge handed down the life sentence, he had to hear from the mother of the teen he allegedly killed in a jealous rage. The grace displayed in her words stunned those gathered in the Kent County Circuit courtroom.
In order to get through this process,
I had to forgive you, and I forgive you from the bottom of my heart. I pray for you because as a mother, you're a child to me, and in my heart, I have no anger or bitterness towards you. As a mom, I just want to hug you because I know that there's something that's not connected that made you feel so angry.
I just want to say I'm sorry, Miss Hawkins. Rodriguez-Ortiz did not apologize to the Lundenberg family. His attorney told me that there are appealable issues in the murder conviction, and if appeals court overturns that conviction, he could withdraw the plea. But those are long odds, and a life sentence is the more likely outcome. In studio control, Barton Dieters, 24-hour News 8.
I don't know. Again, you heard another mother having a chance to speak to, that this is what closure is all about. This is what at least this is what the American system give their people to do, the opportunity to do. But it hurts to know at the age of 16, 18, 19, a young man is going to, children, all of you listening, you all understand this, what we're talking about here? As I said to some children some time ago, do you understand that if police come and pick you up in your home, that's the last time you see in your TV, your bed, your family, especially if it's for murder? Do you understand that, young people who listening?
Young
You have a,
people will not understand that. They remember their brains not fully developed, which is why they do stupid things. We can only guide them the right way and hope that they do the right thing. God,
Natasha,
they're
I
not
spent 6 months in
looking
prison.
10 years
I
down the
think
line.
I spent 6 months in prison. I tell you, I thought that was like the end of the world for me. It was so surreal that every time I hear someone going to prison, this is what I'm saying. The young man who got off with this case, we're not trying to send you back to prison, but you have
No,
another journey that you must undertake, son. And
of
your
course.
mother, you must. There's no way getting around it unless you are the
Yeah,
best
he
older
has to
man in
live with the
town.
fact that he took a life. He has to live with that for the rest of his life. How is he dealing with that, really and truly?
And suppose one day, Camille, you bounce him up somewhere. Suppose you come face to face. This is a small world, small country we living in here. Suppose one day you go in town, you go in a restaurant, you go in a fast food outlet, or you go and you bounce him up. And that day, probably you would have just come from the hospital, you're not feeling too well, or that day things in the chips are a little down. How would you respond when you see him? You never had a chance to have closure with this family. Let's call Mr. Husbands, Gary. Go ahead,
Go
Camille.
ahead,
You
Camille.
speak.
I haven't, and sometimes I do think about it, how would I react? But as I said, I have forgiven this child long time ago, long time. Without forgiving him, I don't think I would be the person that I am today. I would not be here today to begin with, right? Because when Ronaldo died, it took a toll on me. Toll was drinking, I mean, stuff like that. You know, other kids was okay. I make sure they had food, whatever. But I was trying to deal with it. Even though if somebody come and talk to you for 3 times, nobody ain't coming to talk to you again. First week at the funeral, yeah, I will come and check you, make sure you're okay. Second week, nobody not there. So you have to deal with this yourself, right?
Yeah.
Yes, he have to live with this for the rest of his life, emotionally, physically, however he wants to, but he have to deal with this. He probably sleeping and dreaming about it. You don't know. He probably seen it. We don't know. So I hope
Yeah.
his parents get help for him, right? Because that wouldn't be an easy thing to deal with. God forbid. You understand? Things does happen. It might have a time he may not be able to take it, and what you think he might do? You understand? So I really hope he and all get the help that he needs. You
If you're just joining
understand?
us, folks,
So
you're listening to Dependency, and we are speaking with Camille Tate. She's speaking with us from her neighbor's living room, and we thank her neighbor for allowing us this opportunity once again to speak with this young lady. And I hope somebody out there listening, listen, folks, you all don't have to like us, I understand how advocacy creates enemies in this country. Although we say one thing and we do something else, I understand that. Maybe it's because I'm getting older now that I've become more fearless, and I really do. I mean, because maybe I don't have long again here. I don't know, but it just dawned on me that for the last 20 years, Natasha and I have been trying to be a voice for the voiceless. But are we really taken seriously? What did we miss
We
here,
have
folks?
Mr. Husbands on the line, Garth.
Right, we have Mr. Husbands. Welcome, Mr. Husbands. Good morning. Mr. Husbands?
Good morning. I was told he's on the line.
Okay, well, let's Gary sort it out. But in the meantime, I ask you the question on Facebook.
God, can you hear me? He's on the line. I don't know. Mr. Husbands, could you speak up a little louder, please?
Speaking up.
We're not hearing him, Gary. Oh,
Hello?
Mr. Husbands?
Yes, God.
yes.
All right, lovely. Mr. Husbands, let's get right to you. Have been listening to this, I'm sure, from the beginning. Let's hear your take. What did we miss here? What did society miss? What did our justice system miss?
All right, Garth. Again, good morning to the listening public. I may be a bit controversial but I think this is just for enlightenment. I listened to the mother, I can hear her pain, and it shows that we talk restorative justice in Trinidad and Tobago, right? But how restorative is our criminal justice system? It seems like we are still operating on a due process or control model and not a due consideration model, where justice is all about healing, not only about punishing. And broader than that, how can we address the persons who have been affected by a crime or injustice, if the offender, particularly the victim, and members in the community? In this particular case, I want to share my support for the young lady. This particular case is hello.
Go ahead, Mr. Husband. Are you using a headset or using a headset?
No, I'm not.
Normal phone call. Could you hold
Yes,
it?
my normal cell.
Right. You could hold it up at least an inch again away from your mouth. We're getting a little squelching sometimes.
All right. Okay. Sure. I will.
Right. That's much better.
Much better.
Go ahead.
Okay, God.
Yeah.
What is very significant here is that when I listen to the young lady and I listen to the circumstances, and then I listen to the two clips that you played from the United States, right? First, we must make a distinction. Those two cases, those persons were already sentenced, right, and convicted. Mr. State's case, the person was acquitted. So that is one distinction we have to take into consideration when looking at the scenarios, right? However, beyond that, it goes to the old fact that in our criminal justice system over here, the focus is basically on punishment. Right? There is no victim rights bill in our jurisdiction. And what that speaks to, that victim's right bill, what it speaks to is that officials of the criminal justice system would normally have the responsibility to address the basic rights and services, right, of persons who have been affected in a fair manner. But more than that, what sort of protection is given, what kind of help? And of course, if we have what we call a Victim Rights and Restitution Act. Now, these are very significant, These are the kinds of pieces of legislation, and I don't want to sound political. I think we went 2 decades back when we closed down the Ministry of Justice, because the Ministry of Justice would have been championed these particular pieces of legislation, and I say I'm not being political, and the person who was the hem of the Ministry of Justice at the time, right, held discussions with me personally, I don't mind saying it, with these particular acts, right, so that the criminal justice would have been addressing the needs of victims, families, and people who have been affected in the community. And that is what the whole movement towards a victim rights bill and a victim and crime restitution act. Very, very significant in terms of addressing the needs of persons who have been victimized, and the families like this particular lady here. She should be given that kind of support from the criminal justice system, because there would have been a particular arm looking after the needs of the victims and the family. Also, it must look into the person who have been affected in the communities as well. So it speaks to the whole aspect in terms, Garth and Natasha, how restorative is our criminal justice system. I think we are still operating on the due process models. Once, we convict and punish, but what about those persons who have been affected? We are not operating under the due consideration. But more than that, if we're using restorative justice, what were the encounters? Well, this young lady gave me the opportunity to do a proper victim impact statement before the verdict. More than that, even before that, was there a pre-sentencing report done on both the perpetrator and the person who was harmed? Did they really look in terms of the whole question, in terms of the antecedents of the both individuals, the perpetrator and the victim, right? The different family homes, right? The different kind of antecedents in terms of if there were any history, right, of injustices, of bullying, all that, of both parties, not just the one who died, right, but both parties. But more than that, having said that, if the case came to the court, and the young man was sent to prison, right, although he was a youth at the time, what kind of encounters would develop within the court, within the prison, to ensure that there's some sort of amends? Now, let me back up a bit. Now, we see apologies and amends and restitution. Garth, all these are what you call emerging values in restorative justice, right? Because the parties may not want to be part of, right? These things are voluntary, right? It isn't mandatory, right? So you must put that into the mix as well. But even while the young man was in prison, there was a welfare officer, and if you had a probation department, should have been working with these young people, working with the young man, right? To bring him to a point in terms of to understand that a life was taken, and despite the fact if he is acquitted or not, right, he must, right, take some level of responsibility. It does not undo the past, but however, we can start preparing, right, to deal with the harm that he has caused, and working with the family of the victims as well. So, to answer your question, I heard you say if we really have a family. Yes, we have families, but our families seem to be dysfunctional, right? And we take it to the same criminal justice system. It seems that we are not really being restorative in terms of really trying to heal, really trying to restore, really trying to reintegrate. Because this young lady, the deceased mother here, who is on here, she needs to be restored. She needs to be supported, right? But without a proper restitution and victims' right bill, right, it is just talk. There's no right kind of legitimate support, protection, care. And if we really had a restitution act and a victims' right bill, it would be mandatory that the mother would have had to be informed about the release of the young person, right? And the young man as well would have to be given some kind of guidelines in terms of what his responsibility is, because a life was taken, right? It will not do the past, but he too and his family must have some sort of sensibility in that they still, right, have to take some kind of responsibility, how they can heal both the young man and the mother and the family of the person who lost the son. So it's all about legitimacy. What kind of process, what kind of criminal justice system we are operating? And I don't want to take away part of my history of my institution. They should be encouraging on the Rise Maximum Radio, which is a tool, right, to bring victims or members in the communities, right, onto that, right, to speak to the entire prison population, right, and have community groups come into that Rise Maximum Radio and express how the community has been hurt, how members have been hurt, and the whole aspect in terms of what is required for young people or people coming out of the prison to take responsibility to heal, right? And to create some level of what I call community justice when they come out. I know at the police service they are doing some community justice clinic, right? But that is legal. We're talking about how can we bring the tools of amends, of reintegration, of inclusion, and listen to persons who have been hurt, right? So that we can bring a certain kind of what I call a different ethos, a characteristic spirit, to bring a certain amount of civility, to understand the dignity when that must be in our criminal justice. In our communities, particularly when a crime or injustice takes place, particularly when we are using so many of our young persons. But more than that, God, right? There's a whole question in terms of how do we do prevention. We have to teach our young people to live above the moral line, to understand principle consciousness, to understand how they can master the emotions, to understand the real purpose, to understand that change and development is inevitable, and develop a thirst for knowledge and justice. What makes us a civil society, God, is our ability to follow law, order, morality, and justice. And seeking it a character development. And this must be done in our schools, in our institutions, on the play field, and the like. We must understand what it is to be disciplined and tolerant. Tolerance is recognizing that we are different levels of moral character development. And discipline is something that is all about obedience, and it must be self-regulated. In corrections, God, I want to just share something with the public, right? If we really want to move our young people to understand what is happening, we have to try to use what we call a self-determination theory that is based on motivation. They must have the desire to live right, to understand what it is to live right. They must understand that God gives them the ability and intellect, right, to understand what is right living, a Genesis perspective, right? If we go back to the Bible. But more than that, God, they must understand the need and the reason to live right, to succeed, right? But more than that, if you have all that done and you're not committed to law, order, morality, and justice, then you have no dancing. And you have to teach our young people to dance to the tune of law, order, morality, and justice. And that is what community justice is all about. It's an ideal, yes, but we have to prescribe and establish boundaries in our homes, in our schools, in our workplaces, on the media. Right? We have to use catalytic words of healing that doesn't seem to be used regularly on our media. We have to talk about healing. We have to talk about justice. We have to talk about dependence, accountability, assistance. We have to talk on new aspect in terms of making amends in our homes, in our schools, and the like. And these things cannot happen by just talking. It must be demonstrated by parents, teachers, media workers like you and Natasha, right? Coaches, right? We have to teach our young people coaching for life, right? In all aspects, there must be officials, there are going to be obstacles, there are going to be opponents, right? But more than that, right, we must understand that we have to take that responsibility in terms of the roots, use the opportunities, right, and become trustworthy citizens. We have to teach good citizenship, right? What it is to be a good citizen. Service that, and this is what our institutions, particularly crime and victim rights and restitution acts, would have been used to ensure that victims, families, secondary and primary victims, as well as offenders and their families, and people who are affecting communities, needs were addressed. And that is what the whole aspect of restorative justice is, and as best, the opposite of community justice.
Mr. Husbands, I am really happy that you laid it out all on the line here for us this morning. And before we wrap up, we're going to go back to Ms. Tate because we have a short video to show parents here this morning on the danger of edibles, of marijuana edibles and cookies and all these things. So,
and that, sorry, before I leave, I just want to say two things. This young lady, you remember Hargrave's mother had a victim support group, you know. But in the absence of that, you see Prison Fellowship, Trinidad and Tobago, which is out of Prison Fellowship International, started by Chuck Colson, We have a Pastor Pat and Pastor Haynes who do those sort of things. But they are part of what you call the cup camps, prison chaplains and ministers. We need to reach out. And we need to develop what they call victim offender panels. They call it sycamore tree, where this lady could have gone to the prison and have spoken to persons, right, inmates who were charged for murder. It may not have been a person who murdered her son or killed her son, but she could have also used that Rise Maximum Radio and go up there and speak to those persons who are charged for murder and let them know how her life has changed, how she has lost her ability, to look after her children, what she has lost and the like, and that would have brought some sort of healing for her. We call it truth telling. Let's use Rise Maximum Radio, Garth, right, and use it as a victim rights advocacy medium, right? Thanks for the opportunity, Garth.
Mr. Husband, you're always welcome.
Yes, thank you for reminding us about Rise Maximum Radio and its purpose.
Yes, definitely. The real purpose. Thanks a lot and keep advocating, right? We need advocacy. Thank you very much, Garth. Bye-bye.
You're welcome. Folks, if you're just joining us, you're listening to Dependency. We have Miss Camille Tate here with us. You missed a lot, and you all can go back to our Facebook page at the end of the program, so if you want to get it from the beginning. But Camille has been really pouring her heart out here this morning. And we hope, Camille, that the Ministry of Social Development, maybe even HDC, and all of these good, kind folks could reach out to you and give you a little peace of mind before you completely lose your mind. Right now, you and your son are doing getting some counseling done, right? Tell us about that.
Actually, is two girls as well with my son and myself.
Right.
But we're trying to keep it together and not to lose it, because sometimes my son do work out and we just have to face the blunt of it. And so hence the reason why I have him there, so somebody could talk to him professionally. I also have my neighbor to talk to him as well on a one-on-one, but she wouldn't tell me what she talked to him about. But she would just talk to him to just keep him on a level head. I pray to God that I don't experience that kind of drama again, because the first day he went to high school, he was bullied, right, for money. And that day was reflections on the teachers, so they hardly had teachers in the school and stuff like that. So I told him, make sure and tell a teacher, and if they don't do anything, come to me and tell me, let me go and deal with it, because I really don't want to walk down this road again. I'm being honest.
Right.
I don't want to.
And make sure and let him know that anytime he encounters bullying, he must report it to you, report it to the dean, and keep a record of the experience. Because it's unfortunate in our schools we have to go through this. Our children must go through this, even they go to school to learn, who trying to go to school to learn and could end up still become a victim or a perpetrator even. Because if somebody really have to defend themselves from bullying, anything bad could happen.
Because he doesn't say that all. He said, what's that, Natasha?
I was just gonna say, if you have a relationship now with the teachers at his school, so that in the event of anything that they will reach out to you first.
To be honest, he now started school, right? So I don't have. It's only like one teacher that I know personally, that if anything should happen, I know she will relate with me. But otherwise than that, I don't have that with them right now. So I just probably have to wait till. But they know what's been going on. The social worker know what's been going on, because we done talk to her already. His teacher know what is we dealing with. So they have a hand on what is going on right now. So, it is always better to let them know what is going on than to not let them, because if something should happen, they will say they don't know. So that would be my fault. So, that's it. But so far, he says it's going okay.
Okay. All right. So, let's go to the last break. When we return, we want to prepare you folks for this edible symptoms are very serious. Remember, I was quoted as saying that we congratulate drugs for winning the war on drugs. And as part of our mandate, I want to continue to show you again how far out of the box now. And edibles, one of them that are very dangerous, but they are available to our children. If you open your child bag tomorrow and you see jub jub or gummy bears, would you know, you will think it's just normal gummy bears in a plastic, one of those, what you call it?
A bag? Plastic bag?
The pill bags, the pill bags that, that you can,
Yeah, yeah,
if you
yeah,
see gummy
yeah.
bears in your child bag like that, would you know if it's gummy bears
Bags,
or even, huh? Was that to me?
Ziploc bags. You're talking Ziploc
Right,
bag.
yeah. Right, yeah. So the small, so if you see gummy bears in your child in a Ziploc bag in your child um school bag coming, could you tell the difference if it's normal gummy bears or normal gummy bears or marijuana gummy bears? Could you tell the difference?
At first, I don't think so because I have to know what it looked like first to compare it. So I don't think so. I would know. I wouldn't know at the
Right.
point in
We're gonna
time.
show you now. We're gonna show you now.
Okay.
Shoma, let's go to that that'll be video C. Let's go to that shortly. So pay attention, folks, please.
Colorado emergency room seeing more marijuana patients, and they want you to know the harm and symptoms related to pot. That's the result of a study released today by UC Health and CU Boulder. Our Sam Kramer here in studio with a breakdown tonight. Sam.
Yeah, well, researchers saw a threefold spike from 2012 to 2016 in the number of marijuana-related ER visits. That wasn't it, though. They also found that edibles bring more serious symptoms like acute mental disorders. As you see right here, the study saw more patients who smoked marijuana, but the symptoms that required a hospital visit, they weren't as severe.
We found that inhaled cannabis attributable visits were more frequent. However, cannabis edible visits were much more frequent than we expected.
A review of nearly 10,000 patient records from 2012 to 2016 shows marijuana edibles may be more harmful than we thought, especially after Colorado legalized pot in 2014. That's one of the key findings in a UC Health CU Boulder study on the effects of marijuana, led by Dr. Andrew Monti.
When somebody ingests a cannabis edible product, it doesn't even start to work for about 30 minutes. Peaks at 2 to 3 hours and can last for up to 12 hours. This is a problem.
And because of the delayed high, doctors believe that a person may ingest more of it, and it's likely a contributing factor in the symptoms they saw. For marijuana smokers, who were the most frequent visitors to the ER, it was nausea and vomiting. But for edible users, it's much worse.
Edibles have a much higher rate of people getting acute psychiatric diseases such as psychosis and acute panic attacks.
While edible-related visits were not as common, Monty says the rate was alarming, 33 times higher than expected when compared to edible sales in the state. And another area of concern, tourists or new visitors that may be unfamiliar with marijuana.
In general, we recommend start low and go slow.
And that's really the lasting message. Monty says they want users to be more aware of the symptoms and, of course, use in moderation. Always watching out for you, Southern Colorado. Sam Kramer, News 5.
Sam.
No, I wanted to I wanted you all to see the other product, and I will ask Natasha to find that and send that for Shortman. So before we wrap up, you will see what it looks like, right? So,
Let me
folks, if you just joined us, you're listening to Dependency. As you can see, we're broadcasting from another location today. Natasha, we have any we're on Facebook before we take some calls. Because again, I would like to address the Chief Justice of Trinidad and Tobago.
I do have, I have one slide here that I could probably share with Shortman.
All right.
And maybe he could.
With Camille Tate, I want to thank you very much once again for sitting with us and pouring your heart out. We always hope that after doing a program like this, we can get someone from our system to listen to you and contact you and say, Miss Tate, we're going to make this right. We're going to fix this. Because, you see, as a mother, if you are happy, then your children will be happy. And if you're not, there'll be a lot of misdirected anger. There'll be times you'll be bawling at your children knowing that it's not really them, but you have to find somebody to bawl at because there was no punching bag for you, left for you to use. And you're only human. And I really feel it for you. We feel it for you. This is why we decided to do this program this morning. And we just hope and
Oh
pray to
God.
God.
Yeah, I just wanted to respond before I sent the image to Shortman, right? But before he puts it up, I just wanted to respond to a comment on Facebook, Adam is getting the impression that maybe we are thinking the young man should still be incarcerated. That nothing could be further from the truth. We are not, as God said at the intro, we are not trying to relitigate the case. All we are asking for is for healing and restoration for Camille, who is the mother of the victim. We understand that the young man has spent time behind bars, and he is also traumatized from this event. He allegedly caused the death of another person, so he has that to deal with.
But
We cannot say whether or not
excuse
he
me,
should be incarcerated or not. That's not gonna. The case has been done. He's been acquitted.
Natasha, are you hearing me?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't even want to speak for the young man to say he's traumatized because we don't know that. I don't want to speak because he could very well be living life and enjoying himself. We don't know if he's traumatized. All I'm saying is that we said from the beginning, we don't want to retry the case. We don't want the man to go back to prison. We said that at the top. So if you join late, I'll forgive that comment. But brings me back to my opening salvo. Are we really family in Trinidad and Tobago, or are we just fooling ourselves and pretending that we are? This anthem that we love to sing, side by side we stand, and every creed and race find an equal place. And do we really believe those words? Are we really a family in this country? I don't think so, And you all know that too. Because Miss Tate is not, the daughter of some big wig in Trinidad and Tobago. So it's okay. She can lose two sons. It don't matter. Right? They're not important. They're not from good stock, so we didn't lose anything good. So how come so Natasha and I foolish then? That's what they're telling us. We out of
No,
our
but the
minds to be
insinuation is being made that we did not involve all parties. That is not our responsibility, sir.
what's that?
He's saying that we did not, well, he's insinuating that we did not involve all the parties.
Yeah, well ask her who's making that comment?
Adam Gardner on Facebook. But I thought we should respond to it only because, well, I guess, Adam, if you listen from the beginning of the program, you'll get the gist of why we.
And if as I said, I spoke with the mother. I called the mother. I got the mother's number from a prison officer. I did,
Right.
and I gave him the opportunity. Her response to me was, "Well, I could talk to him," and I never heard from her again. So yes, we did. That's what we do on our independency. You're supposed to be listening to this program long enough to know that we don't like bacchanal. So I am very disappointed you didn't ask that question. Very disappointed. But that's all right. You're entitled to your opinion. But yes, we made the attempt to do that because we understand what restorative justice is all about. You heard Mr. Husband talk about the sycamore tree. That is what we would have liked to see happen because we want to see healing in our land. That is why I decided to reach out to her. And I have her number still. God is my witness that I did give her the opportunity. I never heard from her again or the son. So, but this lady has pain. This lady has hurt. And forgive us for highlighting her hurt. Forgive us, because as I said, you all talk about advocacy, but advocacy is accepted in this country when the arrow is pointed the other way. So once the arrow is not pointed at you, oh yes, you're a good advocate, you're a voice for the voiceless. Let me explain it again. Advocacy promotes equality, social justice, social inclusion, and human rights. It aims to make things happen in the most indirect and empowering ways possible. It recognizes that self-advocacy, whereby people, perhaps with encouragement and support, speak out and act on their own behalf. That's the ultimate aim, Mr. Gardner. So if the people don't want to speak, we cannot do anything about that. But we're not going to block this young lady's voice. I'm sure that we're going to give her a voice. What about it was your sister? It was your nephew. You think you would have been singing the same story? As I said, that's advocacy for you in this country here. It's accepted only at certain time. Shortman, I want you to go back to before. Let's go back to.
Oh, he said he can. He's having some issues with that image, Garth. Unfortunately,
All right.
with the gummies.
Guardian. Sorry, the CTU are the first block number 3. Shortman, could you go back to that? Play that quickly before we take some calls from the state. And I wanna address something. So, folks, thank you all for staying with us. Thank you for those of you who understand what we're trying to do here. Justice, I want to listen to this.
Cappy, talk to you now, boy. Got a small work for you to do. You make a quick 10 G's. What you going to do for me? 10 G's? What's that you want to do there, boy? What you doing? Taking your boat, run up the islands, pick up some people and then bring them back here for me. That's all you have to do.
That's sounding like human trafficking, boy. That's a serious crime. I can't make that.
Trafficking in human beings is a serious violation of a person's human rights. It violates a person's right to freedom of movement, freedom of choice, freedom of speech, and freedom of identity. It is a heinous crime which affects local, regional, and international people. The crime destroys a person's dignity and self-worth. Victims often feel hopeless, are suicidal, and are stigmatized in their communities. Child victims are deprived of their rights to education, play, and social interactions. They're essentially robbed of their childhood, and that can never be regained once those years have passed. If we do little or nothing to fight against human trafficking in our country, we can face economic sanctions from international agencies and partners. Our country will be losing money. Doing little or nothing to fight against human trafficking will tarnish our country's international image and, most of all, the value we bring. Human trafficking is no respecter of person. Anyone can safeguard human life in Trinidad.
We are the trafficking unit of the Ministry of National Security, Trinidad and Tobago, safeguarding human life.
I want to say to the Chief Justice of Trinidad and Tobago, the Honorable Justice Ivor Archie, we have a problem that's facing us, sir. And I call on you once again to help save the face of Trinidad and Tobago. You just heard the young lady at the end of this clip here. The government of Trinidad and Tobago, they have already done their part. They provided a unit and funded a unit called the Counter Trafficking Unit that continues to work very hard to this day. As a matter of fact, just last week there were more arrests made for human traffickers. And to this, and the news I heard again, many Venezuelans were rescued. So the Counter Trafficking Unit doing their job. The police service, they too have been doing theirs. And that's the unit that's attached to the Counter Trafficking Unit. The media and Dependency, as by those PSAs that we show, we are 6 months away from being relegated on the Trafficking in Persons watch list. If we don't get a conviction, the next report is going to see Trinidad and Tobago in the worst of ways with regard to dealing with human trafficking. The only person left to cross the line with the battle, or the only institution, is the judiciary of Trinidad and Tobago. Now, as I said, you mightn't find favor with us, but we love you. We admire the fact that as a young man, you were able to take the reins of the judiciary. But from listening to Ms. Camille Tate here this morning, and in a lot of areas, I'm really disappointed that you have not revolutionized our justice system to the point where you're probably the youngest Chief Justice we had in the Caribbean. I'm willing to bet even in the Commonwealth. And so you had the opportunity to revolutionize the justice system in this country, and I think so far you're failing us. I humbly, respectfully submit that this morning, sir. And as I said, I've always loved and admired you. But Trinidad and Tobago is going to find ourselves in a very embarrassing position in the next few months. What's going to happen? Are we going to get a conviction this year of a human trafficker so that Trinidad and Tobago could even elevate itself to tier one? What is the feedback? And think about the officers of the counter trafficking unit who work day and night, stretch themselves to the limit, and put their lives at risk to rescue trafficking victims. Because, as you know, this is a very serious multinational crime syndicate in some places.
And what about the victims? Let's not forget the victims waiting on justice.
What about the victim who waiting to see justice be served, and they're not getting that? And how long again are we? As I said, we barely have 6 months, Chief Justice, to make Trinidad and Tobago a place where the next U.S. State Department Trafficking in Persons report will say Trinidad and Tobago is now elevated to tier one on the Trafficking in Persons watch list, or according to the TIPS report, because now we have convictions. That is the only thing that's keeping us back, sir. And I ask again humbly that for instances like Ms. Camille Tate, and for instance, we advocating now for Trinidad and Tobago. Take the battle, take us over the line. We need a conviction of a human trafficker or two in Trinidad and Tobago, sir, so that we can get elevated and not relegated. That's all I'm asking this morning. We have no problem with the judiciary, but there is a problem that we face in Trinidad and Tobago with the lack or seemingly lack of justice and attention to these issues. One, Ms. Tate and the trafficking in persons. Ms. Tate still has to get closure. Could you direct somebody to contact Ms. Tate so she can get closure as to why this decision was made to free somebody who killed her son? Could you do that for us? That's all we're asking. And to show that we in Trinidad and Tobago are family, as we love to say. We might be naive to think so, but I can still make the call, I can still make the appeal for people like Ms. Camille Tate and all those out there who are walking around with grief and pain. That's all I can ask of you, Honorable Chief Justice. We have nothing against the magistracy and the judiciary, and I mean, but nothing. We don't have anything against you all. We want to see you all do well. And when you all do well, Trinidad and Tobago will do well. That's what we want, all right? So understand advocacy, and it doesn't mean that we bad talking you and the judiciary. We want Trinidad and Tobago to climb the ladder, and as a conviction of a human trafficker will aid us in doing so. We can take some calls now, Natasha, 622-397. Those of you who still feel that you want to say something from the state this morning to give her a word of encouragement, we welcome that. Gary, you let us know. Natasha, you want to add anything to this?
Well, just to add to your plea to the Chief Justice that we are in fact advocating on behalf of victims of crime in Trinidad and Tobago. We want to see the justice that you're able to dispense. Please do that. You know
We have
what
a
they
caller.
say. We do. Good morning, caller.
Good morning to the panel. A special good morning to the lady that lost his son. I know I am a parent of three boys, and when that case was done, I know I was like I heard the case and I heard the facts of everything. I know my two sons, one is going on 17 and 16. I know every day I beg them, I say, children, you know the bigger one, he like a exercise and they play doing push-up. I say, son, I'm going to tell you something. You see, any confrontation is sometimes, most of the time, the luckier person is with, not the stronger person. It could be as big as strong as the one. I know it touched me. When you're a parent, anytime I get a call from the school, you just wonder what they're going to hear the next one on the phone. And the worst call they get is to see that school number ringing. And my condolences are with you. And all we could do is encourage young boys and encourage parents to be more. I mean, by sometimes you just say to be more vigilant, but how watchful you could be as a parent. You know, you just have to is our assistance. All of us got to put our hands on deck, whether you be the MTS worker and watch out for these children. You know, the vulnerable, the young, the challenges we face in our day, I'm 50, they is a different life. I know sometimes I just wonder, Lord, if I could have lived and just see my child live what he like, because the challenging, what the teenagers facing now is really challenging, really peer pressure. And our day hit that for a little close and next tomorrow we hug up. Now it's gang. You want somebody to do a little thing and a gang and then waiting for your child in the evening or whatever day. Like the case where that will already stabbing. Thank God it didn't end in that death. The Trinidad and Tobago, I really appreciate you people of the 9-5, Garth and Natasha and all of you all who really try to make a difference. And I know we got to appeal to our Chief Justice as well, I mean, he's just a human. And this morning, the church reading this morning was 1 Timothy 2:1-8, which said that, we got to pray for our leaders. But, people praying and supporting, but you yourself got to take the initiative. You are the one charged with that office. I know being a young man, I think he will not criticize what they said, but, he had a chance to revolutionize the whole judiciary, being having among the years there. Lockdown listeners, we support on our condolences and pray every young person and they go by.
Yeah, thank you. No, and I mean that he, as a young man, he expected that he would have revolutionized things and led the way in the Caribbean. And I'm sure, I'm willing to bet that he's the youngest Chief Justice in the Caribbean, even in the Commonwealth. And I would love to see him shine and not take offense to when we are held up to scrutiny. Hello, good morning. And Gary, have any call on the line?
No, not as yet.
622-3937. Folks, we are coming to the end of our program, and we want to thank Camille for sitting with us here this morning and pouring your heart out once again. For those of you on Facebook who choose not to understand, don't wait till it happens to you now before you understand.
Have a caller.
That is all. Hello, morning caller.
Good morning. Hello.
Hello.
Morning.
Are you hearing me? Yeah, good morning,
Yes.
Natasha and Garth, and who in the studio. God, these young people, they are given the freedom to the law. You see, when you have young people and they don't listen, you talk to the children. These children are children. When they're home, they're different. From the time they hit the road, it's a different story. I told you, this is friend from South. God, I have 2 sons, twins. And you remember I told you that I used to put them to sit down and listen to you when you now came on radio. And thank you, Jesus. They're going straight so far. They're in the 30s. There's 31. They are 31. And God had never had to go by the police station because their father was police. Well, he passed this year. And I am telling you, thank you, Jesus. You have to keep on these children. You cannot leave them there and say you make children and you cannot speak to them. Where are the fathers? And if the fathers are not there, where are the grandparents? Where are the village to raise these children? We have to put more emphasis on these young people. It's not just because it's a neighbor child. That neighbor child is your child, because if anything go wrong, the whole neighborhood will be affected. Yes. So I want to thank you both for a wonderful job. Continue. God bless you all and have a great week. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sister. Thanks very much.
Another caller.
Good morning to all in the studio. Hello? Morning. Yeah. And good morning to Camille. Oh boy, you are a strong person because, wow, it is not easy. But God, I wonder if parents who have children who, you see what that lady said there just now? I want to say to her, hats off to you, ma'am. When these programs going on, let their children listen. Because I don't know if you saw the first school fight for the term. TV6 showed it. When that girl grabbed that girl and dragged her. These people doesn't understand. These children doesn't understand. Sometimes a simple push and somebody fall because the girl fell and hit her head and they say she was unconscious. You could be facing a manslaughter charge. And this is what they don't understand, this fight.
What you think? Now you're crying and begging for mercy.
Yes, this thing is ludicrous. This thing is a ranking thing to fight and all the friend videotaping it. When you appear before the magistrate, all the paparazzi with their cell phone, them and there to back you up and to give evidence. All of them, this take a code of silence. They see, they hear. So parents need to let the children listen to program like this and understand. Garth, I want to ask you, remember you all, I think was the president started it, when at the beginning of a new term, especially the September term with the new students, and she had some kind of a forum where she was speaking, you were part of it, to the children who making the transition from primary to secondary. Do they still have that?
Yes.
Very good.
Yes, and they still.
I was to ask you that. So, God, you keep it up. Natasha, all the blessings to you all. Good program. Parents, because as the lady said, the one way home. And when they step out, I just always say, I'm not with you 24 hours, so I'm not putting my hand in no fire. I just do my investigation. My big son used to call me Burrows because I used to get down his school bag. I ain't taking what you say. I finding out. Y'all have a blessed morning. Bye.
Okay. Martin. Thank you very much. We can take one more, Gary?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead,
morning.
caller.
Good morning, Garth. Good morning, Natasha. Good morning to the producer. Garth, once more, wonderful program. I feel the pain of the mother because this is the second time, maybe within a 6 months' time, that we have heard her plight. This is the first time now that we are hearing her after the person that was charged for her son murder was acquitted. However, Garth, it is my hope that the Director of Public Prosecution Office is provided with top-class lawyers, because in the court of law, when accused brings a senior counsel, if the prosecuting lawyer is not up to his toes, the accused senior counsel would impress upon the magistrate and the judge that his client is innocent and he's been set free. So we need good lawyers to prosecute like murders, especially with young children. So once more, ma'am, trust in the Creator. He'll be there for you. And Garth and Natasha, thank you. Wonderful program.
Okay, thanks a lot. And folks, that's where we have to leave it. Mistake. Let's we thank you once again.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
And folks, you want to contact me, Steve, you have my number, 756-6337. Please let us see what we can do. Camille, any closing remarks quickly? We have to go to news at 12.
Just as parents again, I mean to say, as the caller said, we can't be there 24 hours, but let us try our best still. You know, at the end of the day, it starts from home. So let us do what we could do. Thanks, Garth.
Thank you.
Garth.
Okay, my dear. You keep good, and we'll keep in touch with you, right? Talk with you later.
Yes.
You too.
Yes, take care.
All right. Folks, that's it. We're going to leave it today. I hope we did well for you. Hope you all, stayed with us. I know you all did. Most of you, thanks a lot. And Natasha, thank you. Short man, Gary, Thanks a lot,
Yes, we
guys.
did it. We did it. Thank you very
Yes,
much,
we did it.
folks, everybody, for making this
Once
happen.
again, yes. Another Sunday for our dependency. Take care, folks. Have a safe and blessed week.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.